So when you think about anger, it's typically a strong, intense feeling or reaction to something that's maybe stressful, painful, frustrating. Maybe it's something that just came up at work for you, or maybe it's something that's just been brewing for a long time about any number of situations with friends, family, whoever, right? So when you feel angry, oftentimes you think it's a primary emotion, right? I'm angry. I've been angry for a while. This is what I'm feeling. When you actually look at anger, it's oftentimes a secondary emotion. So you're usually feeling some type of sadness, loneliness, anxiety, grief, guilt, stress, fear, embarrassment, disappointment, exhaustion, and the list goes on. But because we're assuming anger is the primary emotion, we'll overlook these other feelings and emotions that are usually happening and have been going on for quite some time that are either adding to the anger or causing the anger. So, really important to be able to identify that. So, when you think about anger, oftentimes it takes up a lot of your time. So, what does it do for you? And when you think about it, ultimately, in the long term, it really doesn't do anything for you on most occasions, right? But in the short term, it's usually a defense mechanism, somewhere to focus your energy, a way to avoid all the other emotions that we were just talking about, but ultimately a delay to any type of resolution, right? So it takes up a lot of your time, takes up a lot of your emotional energy, a lot of your thoughts. And we usually get stuck on the fact that we think anger is the primary emotion when often it's not, right? So, what can you do? If you find that anger is a problem for you, whether it's a problem for maybe just a few days or it's been a problem for a few years, process through your anger. You want to identify what you're actually angry about. So maybe you think you're angry with a parent because they were unfair, but ultimately, when you look back to that situation, there are so many more underlying factors that you haven't really considered. So being able to maybe journal a little bit, talk it out with a friend, figure out why you're angry. Once you figure out maybe some underlying emotions to why you're angry, take ownership of them. So if you realize it's grief that you haven't processed through or jealousy of a friend, you really need to consider that and kind of put down the anger for a moment and think about the other feelings that you're feeling and take responsibility for them. You want to reduce the amount of brewing time, right? So we think about anger, we think about maybe pacing around in our rooms and replaying a conversation or constantly bringing up a topic when we're out with friends because we just really want them to understand why we're angry too, right? So kind of reducing that brewing time down and moving into resolution planning. So how can you resolve the factors underneath your anger? So maybe you're finding that you're really angry at your job, but you realize you're really angry because you thought maybe a supervisor was being unfair. So go back, figure out what that situation was. Are there any resolutions that you can have to it? Maybe ultimately it's, switching jobs, something that suits you better, whatever that could be. So kind of figuring out how are you going to resolve your anger. If all these things don't work out for you and you find that you're angry very often or you've been angry for a very long time, talk to a counselor. They can help you identify what you're actually angry about, take ownership of your emotions, and process through maybe some resolutions with you. So it's really important to sit down and talk to somebody who's a really good sounding board to process through all that. Just a second, I also want to show you a worksheet called Tip of the Iceberg. So I'm going to show you just a little bit how maybe you could process and figure out some underlying emotions to your anger. So this worksheet should have a link to it in the description box of this YouTube video. But if it's not there, you can look it up on therapistaid.com. It's called the Tip of the Iceberg Worksheet. So when we think about anger, just what we said previously, sometimes we'll think it's the primary emotion, right? Because it's the part that we can see. But there's usually a lot of emotions underlying anger. So I'm just going to make up a fake scenario and kind of walk through how you could fill out this worksheet and use it to help you discover underlying emotions. So we think about anger. Let's say I'm mad at a friend. I'm mad because we had planned a hangout for the weekend at maybe 6 o'clock. Turns out it's 7 o'clock. My friend still hasn't contacted me, hasn't shown up at the time we agreed on. So I'm pretty mad, right? So I'm thinking, I'm just angry at my friend. I'm seething at my friend. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm walking around, talking to my other friends about it. I am angry. But if I really sat down and process while I'm angry, you see some other emotions here that I highlighted in red. Let's say I'm mad at my friend, but I also realized I've been really lonely all week. Haven't really hung out with anyone. I've had some hard times at school. Things have been just really hard for me. I maybe lost some friends this year, and I've been lonely. So I was really looking forward to hanging out with my friend this weekend, and now that's not happening. So that's bringing up some hurt for me because I was counting on that friend to kind of not only have a hangout, but it was helping me too. So feeling a need. I was feeling lonely, and so now I'm feeling hurt. But not only am I feeling hurt and lonely, I've also felt kind of threatened lately. Because when I think about it, my friend that I was supposed to meet up with, she's really popular. She makes a lot of friends really easily. That's really hard for me. And I kind of feel threatened by some of the new friends that she's been hanging out with because they've been taking up a lot of her time. And I really haven't seen her much lately. So I feel like our time together is kind of threatened by the new people she's been hanging out with. I think because I'm feeling threatened, it kind of makes me feel kind of jealous of her too. Just because like she has a ton of friends and that's kind of what I want, but it's really been hard for me to do. So I think I'm feeling jealous too. And I think the jealousy is kind of leading to insecurity and I'm kind of feeling scared. I mean, if ultimately she's been hanging out with so many friends and she's forgetting that we were supposed to hang out, I'm kind of scared that I might lose this friendship. And since I've been feeling kind of lonely, it would be really hurtful to lose this friendship because it's definitely fulfilling needs for me. So, anyways, you guys can see all we saw on the top originally was anger, right? I'm mad at my friend. When you start to process the underlying emotions, you realize it's so much more than anger, right? It's loneliness, it's hurt, it's insecurity. Maybe you feel threatened, there's jealousy, you feel scared that you might lose your friend. So that's part of why you're angry as well. So that's just a quick little run through of how you could fill out this worksheet, and I hope you find it really helpful.